Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We're on the Mike Francesa channel on the Bet Rivers Network on YouTube after a very busy sports day. So, congratulations to the Mets who have knotted that series at 1-1 with the Dodgers as the scene shifts to Citi Field. Congratulations to the Yankees. It wasn't pretty, but a matter of fact victory. You had a little anxious moment there for a second, but again, two names you're getting used to: Weaver and Stanton. Maybe it's a law firm. Weaver and Stanton. Weaver and Stanton. You can throw a little Holmes in too, but Weaver and Stanton continues to put on his displays. Tonight, Soto adds one to the fun. Cleveland, I mean, you saw some ugly stuff. I mean, they usually can pitch. Pitching is what they do. I mean, walks and wild pitches, et cetera, et cetera. But listen, you know how the Yankees are. If you're going to give the Yankees, walks, they're going to take them. I mean, that's all there is to it. And if you want to throw the ball around the lot, throw the ball around the lot. That's okay. They'll take that too. And they'll throw in a couple of home runs and strike out some guys, and away you go. And the Yankees get the first win. Hey, Weaver gets 5 outs. He shows he can get multiple inning saves. He gets 4 strikeouts there. Rodon, who I'm not a huge fan of, he's had a good year. He was excellent tonight. This is not a great hitting team, especially if you get their big guy under control. I know you're waiting for Judge to explode. Be patient. It's not easy for him. It's clearly some pressure from that. Stanton has been amazing. Soto's been solid. Stanton's been amazing. I've said this before, and I'm not trying to make a big. You got to take Wells out of the cleanup spot. Okay, it's been a long time now. It's not fair to him. Catchers get tired as the year goes on. To ask them to carry a heavy load offensively late in the season is not easy. Drop them down a couple of slots in the lineup. Take some pressure off them. Put Stanton up there for a while. He's red hot right now. Put him behind Judge. It might even help Judge see a couple better pitches. So from that standpoint, I would do that. Chisholm's trying to hit everything 9 miles because he wants to get in on the fun. He'll come around. Don't worry. I'm not that worried about that. It's just him wanting so badly to hit home runs that he just needs to stop over swinging as much as he is. I mean, he took a couple of uppercuts that were ridiculous. Getting Rizzo back is a positive because he adds experience both ways. He'll get a big at bat. He'll obviously play defense. He's not the Rizzo of old, but still, you're fine there. Verdugo's, because of his defense, is going to do enough to stay in the lineup. And again, there's a complacency surrounding the Yankees right now with their fans because they expect to go to the World Series. Now they're one game closer. They really do. They expect to go to the World Series. And it will be very different, the approach they have mentally, whether it's the Dodgers or the Mets. If it's the Mets, they will not even consider losing. If it's the Dodgers, they'll treat it a little differently. But getting to the World Series has always been the goal. And if the Mets are there, then getting into the World Series isn't enough. But again, deal with that in 3 more games. Let's not treat the Indians like they don't exist. So the Mets do what they had to do today. The Yankees do what they have to do today. Stay in front of this series to keep the pressure off, because if they fall into a bad place, the pressure will be impossible on them in this series because the expectations are running so high. I don't think they will get in that position. They didn't get in that position in the Kansas City series. I don't think they'll get in that position in this series. I think they'll be comfortably in front the whole way. Now, that's done. There's no drama there. Okay. Everything was just fine today. Nothing to worry about. Judge is a story for another day. Now let's get to the Jets, because I just can't. I don't know how much more of this I can take. this is a game that was, in my mind, off what happened last week. And I was not content with what occurred. I called for the head coaching change. I called for Hackett to go. Both happened, although Hackett's still wearing the uniform and is still up in the booth, although he has no power anymore. And the offense looked much better tonight. There's still a lot of things not to like about the offense, but the offense looked much better. Now, this didn't make any sense if you want this team to be a postseason team this year, which is what the goal was. Number one, if you don't think this team needs an edge pass rusher, then you're not paying attention. If you don't think they need a 250-pound guy who can scare linemen, then you're not paying attention. I understand that Reddick has messed things up. The Jets have messed things up. Their general managers messed things up. Reddick has messed things up. He needs to be here if you're going to do anything. You can't play guys who aren't good enough, aren't disciplined enough, and are dumber than bricks on the outside. Okay? Did anybody in the world, I would have wagered $1 million. I might have even wagered more than $1 million that there was no way on third down Buffalo was going to put the ball in the air, A, under any circumstances, and B, we all knew what was coming. They were going to get their quarterback on the edge one-on-one and try to beat the defender for a first down. We all knew what they were going to do. Everybody who knows anything about football knew what they were going to do. What'd they do? Exactly that, and beat them for a first down. What are you possibly thinking on that play? How can you get suckered on that play when you have to know, if you have ever experienced a down of football, that he is going to keep the ball on that down and run it. He is not throwing it because he's not going to stop the clock and let the Jets and let Aaron Rodgers keep a timeout. He is not going to do that. He's going to put the ball in the hands of his star player. And this game revolved around a couple of plays and some massive penalties. Josh got out of containment by ducking under guy. All you want to do is keep him in the pocket. In the pocket in those downs, ordinary. Outside the pocket, extraordinary. That's Josh Allen. Gets outside the pocket. What does he do? Rolls left, makes a great throw, hits Knox, touchdown. You've only seen that 4,000 times. 7 points right there. What does he do on the last play? Of course, he beats the guy to the edge, beats Clemens to the edge. Clemens gets sucked on the play. I mean, I would have bet anything that was going to be the play. There was no way they were going to pass it, and no way anyone else was touching the ball. The Jets are so undisciplined, so patently stupid. They came out and they got pushed all over the field. 9 plays, 8 runs, touchdown. Huh? I mean, got pushed all over the Clemens' game. I'm telling you, sit down next week. Don't even give him a uniform. Mike Williams, don't need him. Don't want to see him. Can't keep his feet. Can't catch the ball if it hits him in the numbers anymore. Can't even stay on his feet. Last 2 weeks, we've seen him flopping around, letting guys intercept the ball or keep him from getting the ball. Don't need to have him out there. Put a young player out there who's got some gumption and some toughness and some speed. We don't need a guy who's a relic out there because he can't play anymore. Kinlaw, how many penalties in a row is he going to get? He gets a 15-yarder, which I'll argue for him was a shaky roughing the passer. But I thought the Francesa roughing the passer on Rodgers was a little shaky. I usually don't like the real soft roughing the passer calls. You know that. I thought the FNS one was a bad call. I thought the Kinlaw one was a bad call, but he tops that up by getting a penalty for being in the neutral zone. That's number 2. And then gets 15 yards for cursing out the official. And what does he get? A pat on the back when he goes to the sideline? And he got pushed all over the field tonight. Kinlaw, Clemens, Williams, and then let's get to the kicker. I just heard the coach say, I have no problem with him. He's going to win some games for us. When is he going to get the 2 back he's already lost this year? He had a chance to make one against Denver. I understand it wasn't 20 yards, but you know what? You got to make those if you're going to be a big kicker. And then tonight, he doesn't miss one, he misses 2. And the Jets, how many times did they screw up trying to score? They did everything tonight but score. Hall looked like Hall tonight. Okay? Once on a running play. Not great on some of the runs, but better. On the pass, better. Gets outside on that run, okay? Gets a good block. Gets down. He's got one guy to beat. He's got one safety to beat. He doesn't even go inside. He doesn't even take him on. He goes out of bounds on the 2-yard line. I mean, come on. Didn't you want to score a touchdown? You didn't even try to cut that inside. You can't make one guy miss. With your ability, you can't make one guy miss in the open field. And then on the last drive, when he gets a first down, of course, it's another hold. And then, listen, I campaigned for Smith. I have called Smith a Hall of Fame tackle. He got beat clean by Francesa on a play, which I never expect to see. And number 2, he gets a holding penalty on the play when the running back's already in the end zone. You got to be kidding me. How can you be the guy you're supposed to be and get that penalty? They're in the end zone. He's in the end zone 2 yards, and he's tackling the guy after the play's over. You become a Jet, and you go from being a Hall of Famer to just another guy. There must be something in the water. Rodgers made some great passes tonight. He took a couple of nasty hits. Don't run flea flickers with Rodgers, because why do you want him to take that abuse? Don't create abuse for him. He's going to get enough as it is. I mean, that makes no sense. Don't run that play with you don't run that play with him. And on the last play, listen, I didn't wait around to see Rodgers talk. I think he underthrew it a little bit. But I think he wanted the way the defense was set up in what looked like cover 2 is hard to tell on TV, but it looked like it. He wanted him to come back to the ball to the open spot, except, of course, Williams can't catch the ball if it hits him in the numbers, but he also can't keep his feet. And then he doesn't muscle the guy to keep him from making the interception, which was a nice interception. But again, he was almost like a dead body on that play. That's how bad it was. I mean, listen, if he's shot, that's one thing, fine. You don't need him. If these guys are going to be so badly unorganized and commit so many, be so disorganized and commit so many penalties, 11 accepted penalties. I understand they had a lot of penalties too. But the penalties, the holes that cost you touchdowns, the plays on the goal line that cost you touchdowns. How many plays did they make where the ball was dropped? Or, hey, I understand Wilson got hit hard, You want to be a great player, you hold on to the ball there. You hold on to the ball there, then take the hit, and then shake your head. But catch the ball for the touchdown. You had it. If you want to be the player that you think you are, you got to catch those. You got to take the hit. That's what great receivers do. If you want to be an okay receiver, be an okay receiver. You want to be a great receiver, you catch that ball. It's a touchdown. Lazard, who I'm not a big fan of, made a couple of catches tonight. And the Hail Mary, I couldn't believe Rodgers got that ball away to the end zone. I mean, that ball's about 70 yards in the air. And it was a great play all around. I mean, it was a miraculous play. A play that should have sprung them to a victory that they desperately needed. And if you're coming on tonight, if I'm coming on this podcast tonight and they have a win in this game, it is a completely different season. Now they're 2-4. They've lost 3 games in a row that they could have won. 2 of them they absolutely should have won. And now they go to Pittsburgh next week on Sunday night. They are no better off than they were in terms of organization. Now, did the offense look better? Yes. Did the defense look better? No, it looked worse. And I think it looked worse for the reason I gave you, which is why I didn't want him to be the head coach. Because you were taking Salah out of the defense. You were taking Brick out of the defense. And you were making him now a head coach. Those are his primary responsibilities now. So he can't be over there. Now, yes, when you're the New England Patriots and you have assistants who are guys who could all be head coaches, you can be Bill Belichick and you can go behind the bench with your defense after you've given up an early touchdown drive and completely redo the defense. That's Bill Belichick and the Patriots in their prime. You can't do that here. This guy hasn't been a head coach for a week. All right? And he's not Bill Belichick. And his not being there to bang heads on that defense and to get in those guys' faces, like on the first drive when they got pushed all over the field, or the dumb penalties they committed, or not setting an edge, or not understanding what they were looking at, that kind of stuff he should have been over there to yell at them about. And instead, he's now torn between 2 different jobs. It doesn't work. They're now spread way too thin. They're not terrible because they have some talent, but they're good enough to screw everything up. They're going to go to Pittsburgh next week, and I'm telling you, in prime time, they are going to get knocked all over the field. And Rodgers, I mean, he could come out of that game not just black and blue. He could come out of that game, on a stretcher. That is not a defense you want to see at home on a Sunday night. They're 2-4. In the next 3 weeks, they play Pittsburgh and Houston. Then their schedule gets real easy until they see Buffalo late in the season. But at 2-5, it's going to be over. They're not going to make a run, this team, because they don't have the leadership. They don't have the character. They don't have the people in that room at enough places to do that. And they don't have the head coach to lead them that way. This team will have some games where it'll play well and win. It might even upset somebody one night when everything clicks and Hall finds the end zone and Wilson holds on to the ball in the end zone and Rodgers has a really hot night and throws 4 touchdown passes. You know what? They might beat somebody. And they might finish 8-9 or 7-10. But you know what? They're not going to the postseason in a division that is soft. This Buffalo team was absolutely there for the taking tonight. Absolutely there for the taking. And if they had won tonight, they would have been in first place. And it would have taken away the sting of what happened the last 2 weeks. When they lost games they should have won. And tonight, it's bad enough they had to settle for those field goals, and then they missed both of them. 34 and 43 yards. You can't miss. You miss a 50-yarder, and you say, boy, I thought my kicker was better than that. You miss a 34-yarder and a 43-yarder with the game on the line. I'm auditioning kickers. I don't care. That's too many missed kicks for me. I'm not letting my kicker lose me any more games. He already owes me 2 games this year. 2 games. He was a good kicker last year. I mean, one thing you could count on was they had a good kicker and they had a great punter. Their kicker is killing them. Absolutely killing them. Some of the dumb, lazy, undisciplined guys on defense are killing them. There are many things you can say about what Buffalo did. I mean, you know what Buffalo is going to do. You know how they're going to play. They're not. It's not like it's a secret. It's not like you haven't played them before. You know what Allen's going to do in certain spots. You know what they're going to do with the running game this year. You came out and they wanted to run the football, and they knocked the Jets all over the place. And the Jets didn't set an edge, and Clemens, Kinlaw, go down the line. And the penalties killed them. The red zone mistakes killed them. Big drops killed them. So many different things killed them. But you know what? It's the same old sad song, time after time. Now they're 2-4. 2-4. And they lost to Buffalo at home. And they're going to Pittsburgh next week. And in 3 weeks, they play Houston. Right now, I don't know. I don't think they can beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. I don't think they can beat Houston. And they can't afford any more losses. Right now, the only way they get to the playoffs is with a 5-game winning streak somewhere along the way, the rest of the way. There has to be a 5-game winning streak in there, or they're not going to the playoffs, because you're going to need 10 wins to go to the playoffs under any circumstances. Anything less than 10, you have no chance. 10, you could get left out, but 10 will probably get you in, which means they have to win 8 games the rest of the way. They're not capable of doing that. And this guy is going to learn on the job. And you know what's going to happen? He might have some ability. I don't know if he does or he doesn't about being a head coach, but he's not going to get a real shock because they're going to get rid of him at the end of the season. They're going to get rid of all of them after the season because Woody's going to have a fit when this season's over. That's how frustrating the season's going to be. I don't know if Rodgers is going to finish this season or he's going to limp off into the sunset. I don't know what's going to happen. But this team, the way this thing was built, this thing had to take off early this year. That's why I was so upset about those losses, because those losses were either going to make or break this season. These games, the San Francisco game, okay. Come off that, beat Tennessee, beat New England, 2-1, fine. Those next 3 games were going to define this season. They lost all 3 of them. And we can go back and pick them all apart about where they lost it. They lost it giving up only 10 points to Denver. They lost it here. They lost it with Aaron Rodgers having the ball 3 straight weeks and a touchdown is a win each time, and they can't get any of the wins. All right. All right. And we can line up all the mistakes, all the penalties, all the bad plays. the drops. Just go down the line. This team's not good enough to overcome. It's not a team that doesn't have talent, but it's not good enough. Not good enough to overcome the kind of mistakes that it makes on a regular basis. The penalties, which never go away. They come at the most inopportune times. The big mistakes, the drops, the dumb mistakes, the mental mistakes, the lapses, the terrible situational football. It never stops. And now you don't have the manpower in the staff to get the job done. Ulrich might be a decent defensive coordinator. I think he's proved I don't know how much was him and how much was Saleh. I think Saleh is a gifted defensive coordinator. Take Saleh out of there, you're hurting the defense. You knew that was the case, but you needed to change the leadership. They needed to bring somebody in to overrun the whole place. They needed to bring a head coach in, let him stay as defensive coordinator, bring a head coach in, and then bring in some experienced guy to work in the offensive room and to specifically work on this offensive line. Aikman said it perfect tonight because he understands winning football. He understands team concepts. He understands what it takes to be a champion. He said these are good individual offensive linemen. They have talent. They don't know how to play together. That's absolutely the problem. Offensive lines have to have a cohesive nature. They have to become a unit or they're never successful, especially in the running game. And you're already seeing slippage from at left tackle from a great player. Right now, a formerly great player who's not playing great right now, who had really a bad game tonight. I can live with him giving up a speed sack. I can live with that. It looked like he took a bad step. He got off balance and he got beat by a Francesa. Okay. Him getting that holding call on a play that's already in front of him and past him, shame on him. Absolutely shame on him. Should never happen. Some of the stuff you saw tonight should never happen. The last play of the game with Josh Allen should never happen. It's sickening to watch. And you know what? I don't see it getting any better. I would love to be shocked and see them go win in Pittsburgh, but I don't expect it. I think Pittsburgh could be ugly. I think it's the wrong team in the wrong spot at the wrong time. And that would be 2-5. And only at that point is somebody who really is a wishing and a hoping, or they still believe it at 2-5. Not in a highly competitive AFC. This was such a big game tonight. They would have been leading the division if they won this game tonight. And they just they threw it away with both hands and the foot, an errant foot. We'll see you later.